More Perfect Union did a fascinating investigation into a political organization that we've talked about on this show before. It's called No Labels, which was founded in part by Joe Lieberman and his Republican buddy, Pat McCrory. And the whole point of No Labels is to basically boost center-right, corporate-friendly candidates. Now get a load of this. No Labels looks at Joe Biden and thinks, not a corporate darling enough for our taste. And so we're gonna threaten him. And that is what they're doing here, because they're saying that they want to offer a new political party based on common sense solutions for Americans who are sick of partisan politics. Because Woz, of course, as we all know, American voters are super united and they hate partisan politics. They're looking for a ticket of uniters. Except that's not what's happening at all. It's insane. So
I mean, just the name No Labels alone, Anna, is absurd. This idea that what's really afflicting America is just the names, it's the labels. It's you're calling people, we just want civility. Americans are dying from incivility, Anna.
So what they're doing right now is they're threatening to run a third-party ticket. And they've already raised $70 million in support of putting a third-party candidates on election ballots in 2024. Now, both parties, but especially the Democratic establishment, is furious about this. Okay, even Third Way is furious about this. Third Way is a centrist think tank that absolutely loves people like Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden. They represent and protect the corporate wing of the Democratic Party. They're furious about this because should No Labels actually go through with this plan and run like third-party candidates, it could take votes away from Biden. And when you look at polling, Trump is beating Biden. Right now, real clear politics and their average of all the polls shows that Trump would beat Biden today by 1 percentage point. So it is not a good situation for Biden as it stands. It would be a worse situation if there was a third party running that could potentially take votes away from him. Now, I have a theory about what's really going on here, but before we get to that theory, I wanna set up this story a little more. So because of the Supreme Court weakening election laws and campaign finance laws, unfortunately, the campaign arm of No Labels is not required to share who their donors are with us. But thanks to More Perfect Union, we were able to see a little bit of what's going on there. They were able to shed light on this. And it turns out that among their donors, we've got a lot of billionaires. What a shocker, let's watch.
Coca-Cola, General Electric, pharma giant Johnson & Johnson, and oil and gas company Pioneer Natural Resources have all made 5-figure donations to No Labels over the years. So has the Consumer Technology Association, whose members as of 2020 included Amazon, AT&T, Google, Humana, Nvidia, Verizon, Walmart, and others. Private equity firms, you know, the people gutting hospitals, nursing homes, and driving up your rent, love Kyrsten Sinema. And it turns out they're big fans of No Labels too. Puck News recently revealed that Steven Schwartzman, the billionaire CEO of private equity giant Blackstone, is a major donor to the group. Crow donated $130,000 to No Labels between 2019 and 2021, according to documents obtained by the New Republic.
And by the way, No Labels played a huge role in persuading these goons like Senator Kyrsten Sinema to dismantle and defeat the Inflation Reduction Act, or at least the provisions within that policy or that legislation that would have been beneficial for ordinary Americans. Let's watch.
Democrats met incessantly with her, hoping to raise taxes on the wealthy, but the closed-door meetings with billionaires were much more lucrative. No Labels donors were especially generous. Sinema walked away with huge donations from billionaire Donald Trump superfans Henry Kravis, the co-founder of the world's largest private equity firm, anti-union Home Depot founder Ken Langone, and Nelson Peltz, who donated after Sinema put in a request to visit him. There were also meet and greets with corporate lobbyists, max gifts from the head of Mitt Romney's old company, Bain Capital, and more than $44,000 from the good folks at the private equity megalith Blackstone. The billionaire hedge fund CEO Louis Bacon also got in on the action. He maxed out his contributions to Kyrsten Sinema and tossed $1 million to No Labels a week after doing the same for the Republican Party.
Just a murderer's row of corporate goons who are not pleased with the corporate giveaways under the Biden administration. And so No Labels is coming out with this threat indicating that they're considering a third party to run in this upcoming presidential election. Potential No Labels candidates being floated include Kyrsten Sinema, former Republican Governor Larry Hogan. They're also in talks with Senator Joe Manchin about potentially running. And obviously, the third party would have no shot. It would be a spoiler ticket, but that is the point. And I'm gonna give you my theory in just a moment, but I'm curious what you think, Waz.
I don't know. This is their corporate backers sort of pulling out the belt and being like, I will spank you if you ever get out of line. Although I will say this, I'm not convinced that the likes of Kyrsten Sinema or Joe Manchin would actually take away meaningful votes from either Donald Trump or Joe Biden in a presidential election. I really truly don't think because the way that they would differentiate themselves about common sense, corporate friendly, blah, blah, blah. Nobody actually wants this stuff. This is the stuff that keeps Democrats out of office, that they actually have to lean into this crap whenever they're running for national office. So somebody who only does this and doesn't marry it to some of the more populist rhetorical stances anyway that people like Joe Biden use during a general national election, I'm not sold that this would actually matter even in the slightest.
Yeah, I disagree to some extent. Do I think that a third party ticket from No Labels has a shot? No, I don't. But do I think that they could siphon off enough votes from Joe Biden that he could potentially lose to Donald Trump? I do think that, I do. And the reason why I think that is because just take a look at the 2020 presidential election. When it came to those key battleground states, Joe Biden barely eked out a win. It came down to a couple tens of thousands of votes in some cases. So I am concerned about that because is the voter turnout gonna be as high as it was in 2020? I don't know if it will. And if there's a spoiler ticket that is meant to threaten Joe Biden because he wasn't enough of a daddy to the corporate America, I believe that it is very unlikely that No Labels is gonna go through with this. I think what they're doing right now is issuing a threat to Biden. And I think behind the scenes, that's where the real negotiations are gonna take place between Biden and the corporations who apparently think that Biden has done too much for the ordinary American. This is just a way, as you mentioned earlier, to spank him and make sure that he gets back in line, right? Don't ever talk about canceling student debt again. Don't ever talk about, protecting unions and labor efforts. Just shut your mouth, sit down, and do what you're supposed to do like a good boy, okay? You're supposed to dole out goodies for corporate America, and that's it. And I think that's what he's likely to do. Right? This is a quid pro quo type situation. We won't run a spoiler ticket as long as you give us the promises that we're looking for.
Yeah, and it's not as if Joe Biden is spoiling for a fight anyway. I think politicians, particularly Democratic politicians of the past, would stand up to these cats and be like, I got the people behind me. Like nothing that you guys are pining for are stuff that you could actually stump for in any meaningful way on a platform. You would be laughed out of the room. And again, these policies, the way in which Democratic elites have to stump for them or champion them when governing are precisely the things that make them unpopular with people. There is a sense out there that Democratic politicians don't give a damn about normal, working, everyday people. And it's true because they spend most of their time placating these jerks from places like Blackstone and different CEOs and that such. And so, yeah, if Joe Biden had the stones to fight these people, I think he would defeat them and he could embarrass them. I think he could turn the public against these cats and what they're trying to do, but he would never do that.
In our members only bonus episode, I want to go to a video featuring Joe Lieberman because he explains what their whole purpose is, what they're trying to fight for through these efforts. And you're gonna love the video. So if you're not a member, you can become one by going to tyt.com/join. We're gonna talk about that video along with much more news. There's also a great story in the bonus episode today involving the CEO of Time Warner Discovery declaring that there's absolutely a recession going on. But wait till you see what he pointed to as an example of the recession. It's gonna blow your mind. tyt.com/join to become a member.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.